Let me see in chat if you can see my screen. Just let me know. Say yes in chat if you can see my screen. If you cannot see my screen, then I will move on um, to see if we can get any breakdown there. Not getting any responses. Maybe I'm just lagging. But I'm gonna assume you can all see my screen. VIP, let me know on a private chat on Discord if you can see my screen because it looks to me that I'm not getting any responses from the group. So I'm gonna assume you can all see my screen. Basically, we took trades this week on GU and on gold. So if I show you, can someone is unmuted. The person that's unmuted, can you please let me know if you can see my screen? If my screen is visible. Oh yeah, you can see my screen. Great. Okay. So we took trades on both gold and GU. Gold has been really annoying because basically what we've had is we've had a nice order block form. We had some NFP news come out, and then we had more NFP news come out that really took it to the moon, really, right? We do still have those equal lows that I'm expecting to get taken out. I am still bearish on gold. It does look as though we're seeing those impulses that tell us maybe we should be looking for a reversal of some sort to the upside, like from bearish to bullish in terms of bearish from here to bullish. However, I am still looking to hold this, taking it to the downside, especially after the NFP news came out, because we know that when NFP news comes out, it normally leaves behind a massive imbalance. So for example, here we know there's an imbalance there, and also there's going to be an imbalance in this zone, right? If I show you, there's an imbalance here, right? The market is going to attract those two imbalances, but I'm still looking for it to at least at a minimum come down into these zones here and here, and then we'll be looking to take it higher. But those are things I wanted to actually look into, and then perhaps we can see if we can get any re-entries to take it higher. But that's GU. I mean, that's gold. It was really annoying because we got entries and then it stopped me. I'll break even because I was in profit for my entries. If I show you, I had a 4 hour OB. If I show you, go to the 4 hour time frame. That was my 4 hour OB. It was here. You can all see this was my entry. So this was the 4 hour OB. Oh no, didn't do that. So this right here, right? This was my entry. You can see it was profitable for a very long time and it didn't even break straight to the downside. I probably should have taken all profits when it came and took out this imbalance, right? So that's just if I show you this imbalance here, right? Maybe should have closed out with some profits when it came there. But I decided to hold it and it did just take me out break even. I was holding that trade at break even at that point, so I wasn't particularly stressed out that I had taken me out. But yeah, that's just the nature of the market, right? It's going to take you out sometimes. GU was a similar scenario. If I get GU up, so GBP we were looking to sell GBP as you can see. Our two areas that we're looking to sell it from were here, right? This is very similar to gold because it was in profit as you can see. It ended up coming, right, going to an imbalance. I didn't close out. I got stopped out break even. So that's just the nature of the market. It stops me out break even, but guess what? I didn't lose any money, so I'm not too stressed out about that. I am still bearish on G because we do have these equal lows here. More imbalance that the market can take out, more equal lows, and another imbalance here, and the 4 hour demands that it could all go to. However, what I'm expecting now is because we have equal highs up here that I mentioned in the last video. You can see we have equal highs here, touching once, touching twice, touching 3 times. I'm expecting it to perhaps take out those equal highs to the upside and then drop off. There is a 4 hour OB as you can see. It's a bit clearer on the 1 hour, and the entry up there was very clean. Right, if I show you this really quickly, you can see there was a nice entry from there. That is nice. However, that happened right at the end of the week, so I didn't enter that. Or I entered it and I was out like very quickly because it happened like literally hours before market close. So I don't want to hold that for too long. But that was GU's very, very irritating because I do still believe my analysis is correct and that we are still going to be coming bearish and coming lower in the long term. However, we have these equal highs that need to be taken care of before any of that movement can occur, and before we can get any of the movements that we are really looking to happen, which is our move down to the downside. However, a good thing perhaps that you could be using is that we do have a lot of imbalance that the market needs to come take out. right? You can see that we have a little bit of an imbalance in this zone, right? So if you were selling, you could have been perhaps looking to take the market to that zone. We did also have, if I go something like a 5 minute, right? There was a little bit of imbalance here as well that the market needed to come take out that I drew out. So I was gonna be taking profits here, but then I noticed that it was the end of the week, so I thought, nah, let me just leave that. I'm just gonna enter on my own later on. But this was the imbalance that we were looking for the market to go to, and that's perhaps another good thing that you could be using as confluence to your setup. But yeah, that's GU as well. Very annoying because I am still bearish on it, as I said. So what I'm expecting now is we see that break of structure to the upside from our equal highs, break structure up here, then it go to something like here, right, and then sell off nicely. So that's what I'm expecting, and that's what I think is going to happen. So that's GU. Someone's talking about AUD/JPY. Let's go to AUD/JPY, right? AUD/JPY, and we were looking to sell AUD/JPY. From the get-go, it looks to me that there is an order block somewhere in this zone. Perhaps if you go to the 1 hour time frame, that order block will be a bit clearer. That volume increase isn't particularly clear. If I go to maybe the 30 minute, it'll be a bit clearer. Yeah, trades from this order block could be valid, but anything other than that doesn't look particularly valid to me, just because we haven't had that volume increase, and that wasn't respected. So it's probably respecting something up here. You could argue this order block is valid. So how about we do that? JPY, yeah, it looks to have respected that one. So AUD/JPY does look like there are potential selling opportunities. Let's see if on the weekly or the daily we have any sort of confluence. We did just take out loads of equal highs, as you can see. So we had a little bit equal highs in that zone. The market just took out, right? So maybe that's a little bit of extra confluence for you in your sell side setup, because smart money now has the liquidity to open however big a sell that they want. The other thing that could potentially be a contour trade on AUD/JPY is that we do have a supply zone up here that the market could be wanting to go to on the weekly, but on the daily, in terms of what you call it, these equal highs is just taken out those equal highs, so that's a good thing for our trade setup. It looks to me that it might have come to an order block here, because there is a very clean order block there that the market could have come to. So if we just extend that, it didn't quite come into that order block yet. So yeah, there are loads of order blocks that could go to that do have indecision on their side, and indecision is a good thing when we're looking at order blocks. So there's a lot of indecision in this zone. This order block looks valid to me as well. There's equal highs as well. So yeah, AUD/JPY does look nice. I'd just be watching and see what happens, how we can get potential entries and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's all for AUD/JPY. That's how I want to be watching it. I just still be waiting to react. Maybe if you have breaks of structures below these equal lows here, right? Maybe you can use that as confluence. Maybe if you just want to scalp this market down, right? Give me a second, and then I need to sneeze. But anyway, as I was saying, if you wanted to scalp this market, I wanted to do something like this. Wait for the market to return to supply zones like this, then enter your trade here to hold it until maybe some sort of order block here, or take out until it takes out those equal lows. I said that could be valid. So entries like here, entries. 1 second, let me delete. So entries like this, right here, waiting for the market to return to this order block, and then holding it to go to this zone. So this is the order block that I'm talking about. So entries take the market from this order block zone, right? The entry being here, right? Entering right there. Stop loss goes right above that high, right? And your take profit goes right below here, right? That could potentially be valid. But I'd say because there are just so many higher time frame structures, you don't want to be holding any trades on AUD/JPY for too long, just because of the risk that it might just take you out very quickly and then move on and do what it needs to do. So that's my warning for AUD/JPY, but it does look like a nice setup. CAD/JPY, we're getting loads of people be selling. If I look at CAD/JPY, you can see that it did start to sell off very nicely. CAD/JPY, as you can see, the NFP news for CAD/JPY made it sell off very, very nicely. What we've had for CAD/JPY is there were equal highs at this zone. So as you can see, there were equal highs at that zone. The market just took out those equal highs, as you can see, right? If I play it out, the market took out those equal highs, has as much liquidity as it needs now. Is now beginning to sell off, as you can see when I went to that time frame just before. It looked to me that it has come to an order block up here, or this whole order block, if you like, and is now beginning to sell off. So sales on KGPY are still valid. It looks to me that Wyckoff that we were watching, it looks still valid to me. So if we call this our primary supply, buyer's climax, secondary test, our up thrust, and then we have our UTAD, right? You could still be watching this and saying that it could go lower, and that's why you see this is a prime example of why we only enter trades from that last point of supply. Because if you guys entered from like UTAD, which was here before, right? We were calling this our UTAD because we didn't know if it was going to sell off from here or not. So we were calling this our UTAD, right? If you entered here, you'd have been stopped out very quickly because we didn't know if it was valid or not since we didn't get that break of structure to the downside. And that's why I was so hesitant in the last call. Those of you that were in that call will remember I was very, very hesitant with both CAD JPY and Euro JPY because we didn't see that UTAD fully form. And now look what happened, it just got taken out straight to the upside. So I'm saying next time we wait for our UTAD to break structure to the downside, then we get our entries from our last point of supply to take the market lower again. And that's the reason why I think CAD JPY has really been just consolidating for a very long time now. But I think we will be getting some sort of move to the downside in the very, very soon, because we do have a lot of momentum and a lot of imbalance as well that I need to be filled before we have any continued move to the upside that can be sustained. So that's what I'm expecting on CAD JPY. If you look at AUD JPY, I mean Euro JPY, because I know a lot of people were looking to sell that pair last week. As you can see, that also didn't play out very cleanly. Just because of the reason why I'm telling you, wait for a break of structure to the downside. Here we didn't really have a clear break of structure to the downside. You could argue that the market broke through this level of structure here to the downside, but the market wasn't at that point when I went to look at it. It looks to me now that there are some equal highs here that the market could come take out and then go lower from. But in terms of I think the only thing that we need to improve as a group is, and me, right, is we need to improve our entries, our lower time frame entries, because our higher time frame general directional bias is almost 80, 90, 20, 90, 100% sure, like correct. We always get our directional bias on the high time frames right in terms of where our equal highs are, where the market is likely going to take out those equal highs and then sell off from, right? We always get those correct. What we don't get correct is our entries on the lower time frames, right? And I say that, this is our first week that is not profitable in a very long time, right? And so this is, very, very normal to get non-profitable weeks after, a very, very long winning streak. And we've been on a winning streak for a very long time now. So there's nothing wrong with losing trades. In fact, they should be helping you in your back testing and helping you, get better as a trader. But yeah, that's all. That's all I would say for all of those pairs. If anyone has any other questions and any other pairs they want me to look at, please do let me know, and I will of course go through them. Let me just make sure I make sure, and let me know if I'm still sharing my screen, because I don't want it to abruptly stop sharing screen and I've been waffling for the longest time without anyone watching me. So let me know if that's the case. Just let me give me a second to make sure of that. So guys, I've just made sure that everyone can see my screen. I'm now going to go back to explaining what I was explaining. So does anyone have any other pairs that they want me to go through? So let me So yeah, agree. Lower time frames. Someone said that they want me to go through the Nasdaq. Yeah, let me go through that very quickly now. So the Nasdaq. So Nasdaq 100. I don't know. I don't trade Nasdaq too much. I think. Oh yeah, here we go. It's already saved on my thing. Here we go. So the Nasdaq ended up respecting a nice order block that we had drawn out. That ended up being respected very cleanly. Right, did exactly what we said it would do. It came to an order block and then went higher. This wasn't a trade that I actually took, but it ended up playing out very nicely. However, that move there ended up forming equal lows. The market then took out those equal lows to the downside, and it looks to me now like what the market is doing is retracing up to an order block here, and then potentially to sell off some more. However, the Nasdaq, we are long term always bullish on these indices because you can see it's been bullish ever since, basically since I was born, right? It's been bullish for a very long time. So these types of setups are very short term. If you're looking to sell any sort of index, it's very short term. Sorry about that, boys. Just had to get rid of someone that came into my room. But as I was saying to the Nasdaq, because we are long-term bullish on the Nasdaq, it looks to me that it has just come into an area of consolidation here, right? That you could potentially call an order blocks if I drew it out clearly, right? So this was the area that we were watching, potentially came into our zone and now it's potentially selling off. However, these types of trades are very short term because you can't hold those as they because they are against our long-term trend, and our long-term trend, as you can see, is very bullish, right? So that's so what I'd say is for the Nasdaq, if you're entering any trades, for me I don't, because indices for me are very volatile and I can't deal with that type of volatility. But if you want to enter any trades, I'd say wait a little bit, maybe go into something like your lower time frames, your 1 minute, right? See if there's anything anything that could uh, make a trade not valid. So here we have a little bit equal highs that could mean a trade is not valid. However, you could argue that there's an area of structure there that the market should have went to if it wanted to form equal highs. For me, I just say at a minimum, wait for it to come to this order block because this order block does look very clean. So if I show you this order block right here, at a minimum, I'd want it to go to that area. But I'd want it to, like, at the end of the day, come all the way down or come higher because we are bullish overall. To me, what we've had now is on the 1 minute time frame, as you can see, we had a little bit of an imbalance form. The market then took out that imbalance, right? Took out the market's imbalance. So as you can see, if we go on to something at the 5 minute, it's a bit clearer. Let me do it on the 5 minute. So you can see that this was our area of imbalance, this whole area here. The market then came to our area of imbalance, right? Right, and filled it perfectly, as you can see. This was our area, filled it perfectly, and now starting to push off a little bit. So what I'd say is these types of trades are very small and like are a scalp basically. You don't want to hold those for too long at all. So yeah, that's why I'd say, and that's all the advice that I'd be giving for Nasdaq, since I literally don't trade it. I trade the major pairs. If any of you are like new, I trade the major pairs since those are the ones that are most liquid, and therefore those are logically what makes most sense for smart money to be trading the most. Right, they're the most liquid. They are the most traded pairs. Right, and for something to be the most traded pair, smart money is definitely getting involved. Right, so we need to understand that. Right, uh, once we are entering trades. Chris says you are in USD JPY sales. We will definitely take a look at that. BYP says, can you check out the stock? Um, Chris says, can you please show me how to mark imbalance? Is it wick to wick? We'll go through that. How to mark imbalance. Okay, let me go through this. This is a good example of imbalance, the one that I wanted to enter right now. So here we go. As you can see, this was my area of imbalance. Why did I call this? Okay, let's do it on the 1 minute one, right? This was my imbalance. as you can see, I call this my imbalance. Why is this my imbalance? Because it is the area between this wick here and these equal lows here, right? That the market I'm expecting to come to, take out that imbalance, right, and then go higher. So that's my area that I'm looking to enter from, to enter any trades to take the market higher from. It could potentially do something like this, so come lower into my area. We could close full profits, or you could be entering new trades from that area to take it higher, right? So those are your two options. For an imbalance, you could enter new trades to take it higher from that imbalance, right? Or you could close your trade at that imbalance because it's likely to push off from that imbalance, right? So the way you mark it out is you mark it out from wick to wick. Here is the wick here, and here is our wick here. We're expecting the market to come take out those two wicks and come again to our area of low volume or high volume, right? That's the reason why it's called imbalance, because it has high volume, right? And then go higher. Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, Chris says makes sense. Fills with big gaps due to high bull and bear volume. Exactly, right? An imbalance is basically a liquidity void where we have an imbalance of buyers and sellers, right? The market always, in order to have a successful market, you need to have a balance of buyers and sellers, right? Otherwise, there won't be. That doesn't necessarily mean there has to be the same amount of buyers and sellers. But if one really takes off, so we have loads and loads of buyers and not many sellers at all in the market needs to come back to that area to take care of the sellers in the market. And if we have loads of sellers in the market and not many buyers, the market needs to come back to that area to take care of the buyers. So Raheen asks, how do you find a last point of supply? A last point of supply is basically, if I just move my chart up, the last point of supply is basically an area after our UTAD form. So say this is our UTAD, that area before when the market comes back into our zone, right, has a supply zone, and then we're expecting it to sell off some more. That is our last point of supply, right? So say this is our UTAD, right? This is our UT, right? Then there's something like our up thrust on our bias climax, and this is our primary supply. So this is our whole Wyckoff distribution schematic: primary supply, bias climax, secondary test, UT, UTAD, breaks the structure to the downside, comes back, taking care of any sellers in the market at this zone. I mean, any buyers in the market at this zone, right? Forming our last point of supply and selling, right? So last points of supply in a Wyckoff distribution schematic are areas of supply that form during that move on the UTAD that break structure. So that's what a last point of supply is, and that's how we can get entries from a last point of supply, right? Um, so those are the two things that I would be entering trades from. Imbalances and order blocks, they do play out very clearly to me. They do play out nicely for me when I enter trades according to them. But I remember someone was talking about for gold not being valid. I think it was Chris, or not Chris, iPhone the pack, the guy from France. He was saying that it wasn't valid, so gold wasn't valid. So let's take a look at gold, and that's the reason why I ended up not playing out in our favor. So if we take a look at gold and we go into the 1 hour time frame, you can see that we had a very clear order block. So as you can see, in terms of 4 hour order block, that was very, very, very clear. You can all see that this order block, I wouldn't have taken it if the higher time frame structure wasn't clear. You see, we have a little bit of indecision in that zone, a little bit of consolidation in that zone. The market now then forms a nice buyer's candle before that sells to the downside. The market sells off to the downside, returns to our area, right? As you can see, returns to our area, right? At that area, starts selling off nicely, right? Then comes into our imbalance. So this was our imbalance, as you can see. So here, for example, does everyone see this? Here, what we have is a nice area from wick to wick. So Chris was asking about imbalances. Here, right here, in this zone right here, is a very clear example of imbalance. As you can see, we have from this wick to this wick, an area of rapid buying, right, where sellers have not been taken care of in the market. The market then comes back to take out that area before then taking off to the upside, right? So this was potentially an area where I could have closed my trade and taken my profit. However, I decided to be greedy, and that ended up biting me in the back later on, because I did end up, taking a small loss. Not a small loss, but I ended up closing this trade at break even, where I could have closed it with some nice profits open. So yeah, that's the answer to your question, the last one, the supply question, and the question about imbalance. Bishal asks, can you check out GPJPY? Of course, I can check out GPJPY. Let's take out Let's go to GPJP. I already have it on my watch list, so I don't really need to go to it on what do you call it. So on GPJPY, you will all notice that we called a sell from this, a buy from this zone, right? A buy up, a nice buy up into new highs. The market has, it looks to me that it has just taken out an imbalance. As you can see, this would be your imbalance right here, right? That would be your area of imbalance. The market came into that area of imbalance, right, and is now looking to come into some sort of consolidation. So to me, what I could be looking at for GPJPY is a seller's market. I'd be looking to see it come lower. Maybe not. I'd say for GPJPY, because that 4-hour OB was respected so clearly, I think basically what we were expecting before is we were expecting a weekly order block. So there was a very clear weekly order block up here, right? The market came to our weekly order block and started to sell off, right? On the weekly, it's not very clear. On the weekly, it looks like it didn't get triggered. But if we go into the daily time frame, you can see that what we had here was we had a very clear area of buying, right? As you can see, this was our area of buying before that area of selling. On the daily, also looks to me that it's not, hasn't been triggered. Maybe it was this order block, right? So this was the order block. The market formed that order block, right? Came back to our order block and started to sell off. Sabix, your camera is on. Sabix, I don't know if you want it to be on. Yeah, you've turned it off now. Okay, here we go. So that was that area. The market formed that order block, right? Returned to our area of structure at that order block and began to sell off nicely, right? Then what we had is a retracement. So if you're drawing the Fibonacci from the top of that area to the bottom, the market looks to me it's coming to that 0.786 zone. So we could be seeing the market now sell off, right? We've seen the market come into an imbalance. Number one. Number two, coming to the Fibonacci of our zones to see the market continue going to the downside. So that could be what I'm looking at for GJ. GJ looks to me that it's selling off. What I'd say is get entries from some sort of order block. It looks to me that there was a clear order block up here, right? As you can see, if I zoom in for us. So this was the clearest order block from my point of view. In terms of our 1 minute entries, this was the clearest one. We had the market form equal highs at that area, right? Then the market took out those equal highs, as you can see, if we extend it to the right. Actually, no, it looks like it didn't come take out those equal highs. So this is what I'd be saying for GJ. Wait for it to come take out those 1 minute equal highs, maybe enter here to take it lower. So that's GJ. GJ, it looks to me also that there are equal lows. If you look left, you can see that there are equal lows here, right? So the market could come take out those equal lows. But NFT news really, I think the main reason for losing trades this week was NFT news. That's what really did us dirty. So that I mean, now of course we don't have NFT news coming out next week, I don't think. So I think we should be looking at some really nice setups and some really nice profits for GJ and all of them. GBP AUD, iPhone the pack says GBP AUD, you found a nice entry on a buy, but I was confused between the two demand zones and I didn't know which one was valid. Yeah, let's go through that. GBP AUD. As you all know, I don't trade these minor pairs too much. But basically, as you can see, this was our area that I was watching. It ended up coming into our area of structure and going higher. Now what we have is the market retracing. Let's look at our higher time frame trend. It looks to me on a higher time frame, 4 hour maybe, we are forming low lows and lower highs. I just wouldn't be taking any trades just because we are not pro trend in this case. We are literally not pro trend. I would not want to take any trades. In terms of our highs, in terms of our lows, we are forming higher lows, right? But in terms of our higher time frame trend, we are forming lower lows and lower highs on the higher time frames. So I wouldn't want to take any trades on GPAUD just because number one, it's a minor pair. Number two, we are bearish on the higher time frames. So any buys from something like this would be maybe nice in the short term, but you wouldn't look to hold it. I can break it down for you if you'd like still, but I just wouldn't enter this trade. So here we go. If I zoom in for us, you could argue we have this little bit of price action, which is absolutely atrocious. You don't want to look at that. Maybe there's some sort of order block in that zone, but this is maybe spread hours at some point. Yeah, if I look at the time, you can see it started at 10 o'clock at some point. So yeah, these are spread hours, 10 p.m. GMT. it's spread hours. You don't want to open any trades 10 p.m. GMT. Maybe you could argue that there is an order block here that the market went to, right? As you can see, the market potentially came to an order block here, and now it's beginning to buy up from the order block. But what I'd say is maybe get entries off of this. You wouldn't be able to get a nice entry from there just because it's literally already there now. So we're either going to have a gap up in price, so market is probably going to gap all the way up to the upside when market opens on Monday, or we're just going to see a quiet market and nothing really happen. So that's what I'd be saying for GPAUD. For me, I'm never going to be entering, these minor pairs like GBP CHF and like USD CHF and like GBP AUD, because for me they're too volatile. Like you can get a 100 pip move on a 1 hour time frame, which is just too much for me. Right, so that's the reason why I don't like those pairs. But what else? If you want me to go through USD CAD, there were people that wanted me to go through USD CAD. So basically, what we can see here on USD CAD is we had, we're very bearish. The market has formed many imbalances, and then has come to take out those imbalances. So you can see there's an imbalance here, right? And if I extend that to the right, the market then came to take out that imbalance and then started to sell off some more. Right, we have a lot of bearish momentum in the market now, so I would not be looking to enter any sort of buys in this market. But what I'd be looking for is the market to potentially retrace. Once we have a retracement, maybe come into these two areas, because these two areas do look particularly valid, since we have a nice bit of consolidation. So this is a nice bit of consolidation forming an order block. Hamza Khalid, you are unmuted. I'm gonna mute you because we are recording this, so we don't have too many voices that aren't mine. So what I'd be looking for USD CAD is I'd be looking for a market to retrace, come up to a higher time frame consolidation, and then we have our price cycle. So we have our consolidation, breakout of our consolidation, retracement, and then we got our entries off that order block to take the market lower again. So that would be my areas that I'm watching here and here. This one is the one that looks nicer, since if I draw in the fib, maybe from where would I draw in the fib? Yeah, that's maybe I draw it from here. That looks the clearest to me. That's in our zone between our 0.5 and 0.618 and 0.786, and that's two zones that we'd like for the market to come to and to take care of before it goes any lower, right? So that would be my forecast for USD CAD, and that would be my forecast for all of the other pairs. We are running out of time. We only have 3 minutes left on this Zoom call. What we will do is I will send through any charts. If you want any pairs that you want personally broken down, just let me know in chat right now, and then I'll break them down later on. GBP CAD. Okay, Asabi just asked, can you go through GBP CAD, AUD USD? AUD USD I've gone through already, so I'm bearish on AUD USD and Euro CAD. So let's just do that really quickly. I'll try to do the quickest breakdown I've ever done in 2 minutes. So what we can see for USD and GBP CAD is we are bearish. The market seems to have just come to an order block and seems to have sold off. Right, that order block is valid since it broke structure. If you look at our daily and weekly, what do we see? We see that perhaps there's some sort of order block that the market could have gone to here, and the market is beginning to buy out from. So if we go into a 4-hour time frame, let's see if there were any order blocks. Right, you could argue maybe that this was an order block that the market came to, right, and that the market began to buy out from. However, this order block isn't valid. So what I'd say is buys on GBP CAD for the time being. However, since we haven't had any break of structures to the upside in terms of break structures from this level of structure here, or from this level of structure right here, right, I'd still be looking to see if it's bearish before I enter any new trades. So that's GBP CAD breaking down quickly. If I go to Euro CAD, that was the second pair, I think. Yeah, Euro CAD. EuroCAD, I have a little bit of markings out, drawn out. So I was looking to sell EuroCAD, as you can see. Let me see if I look at my higher time frames, if there are any setups. It looks to me that there is a massive demand zone here that the market could come to and then buy out from. This is huge. You need to find some sort of way to refine this. Otherwise, you're going to deal with stop losses of 500 pips. So no one can deal with that. It's hard to hold a trade with a 500 pip take profit, let alone a 500 pip stop loss, right? So I just be waiting to see if you're able to refine that demand zone in any way, shape, or form. We did just have a break of structure in terms of a lower time frame break of structure from here, right? So you could argue that is something to use as confidence to your setup. What I'd say is there's an imbalance in this zone, right? So the market might want to come take out that imbalance, come into an order block here, and then buy up. So that's what I'd say. We now have less than 1 minute left on this course. So I'm just gonna wrap it up. Say thank you all for coming, all of that good stuff. If you want any other pairs, let me know in trade talk at me, just at me, and I will see it. So right at Mahad FX, and I'll come up. But yeah, thank you all for coming, and I'll see you all in the next call, which will be tomorrow.